Israel's government faced calls for a ceasefire from some of its closest European allies and from protesters at home on Sunday after a series of shootings, including of 3 hostages who waved a white flag, added to mounting concerns about its conduct in the 10-week-old war in Gaza. The protesters urged the government to renew hostage negotiations with Gaza's Hamas rulers, whom it has vowed to destroy. Israel could also face pressure to scale back major combat operations when U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin visits this week, as Washington has expressed growing unease with civilian casualties even while providing vital military and diplomatic support. The air and ground war has flattened large parts of northern Gaza, killed thousands of civilians and driven most of the population to the southern part of the besieged territory, where many are packed into crowded shelters and tent camps. Some 1.9 million Palestinians, nearly 85% of Gaza's population, have fled their homes. They are surviving off a trickle of humanitarian aid. Israel said that starting Sunday, UN aid trucks would be able to enter Gaza from a second location, Kerem Shalom. In a sign of desperation, dozens of Palestinians surrounded aid trucks after they drove in through the Rafah crossing with Egypt, forcing some to stop before climbing aboard, pulling boxes down and carrying them off. Other trucks appeared to be guarded by masked people carrying sticks. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel will continue to fight until the end, to eliminate Hamas, which triggered the war with its October 7 attack into southern Israel. Palestinian militants killed some 1,200 people that day, mostly civilians, and captured scores of hostages. Netanyahu vowed to bring back the estimated 129 hostages still in captivity. Anger over the mistaken killing of hostages is likely to increase pressure on him to renew Qatar-mediated negotiations with Hamas over swapping more of the remaining captives for Palestinians imprisoned in Israel. Israeli media reported that David Barnea, the head of Israel's Mossad spy agency, met over the weekend with Qatar's Prime Minister, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman al-Thani, who has mediated with Hamas, to discuss renewed talks. Gaza meanwhile remained under a communications blackout for a 4th straight day, the longest of several outages during the war. Aid groups say they complicate rescue efforts and make it even more difficult to monitor the toll on civilians. In Israel on Sunday, French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna called for an immediate truce, aimed at releasing more hostages, getting larger amounts of aid into Gaza and moving toward the beginning of a political solution. France's foreign ministry earlier said one of its employees was killed in an Israeli strike on a home in Rafah on Wednesday. It condemned the strike, which it said had killed several civilians, and demanded clarification from Israeli authorities.